Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tipsy Testing, Inflectra's weekly virtual happy hour. Today, we are going to be chatting about all things software. We're talking about agile coaching. We're talking about careers in testing, how to do better and get better in testing, and life in general, in quarantine or otherwise. My name is Thea, and I am head of business development here in Inflectra. I will be moderating today's session. I have the honor of presenting the two hilarious Dutchmen to you. Please meet Bart Knaack and Huib Schoots. Now, Bart has about 20 years, or maybe even more, 20 years of experience in testing and test management. He coaches testers and helps clients build quality management and improvement systems. In 2009, Bart co-founded the Test Lab. Second guest is Huib Schoots. Huib is an expert in software quality and testing. He focuses on agile methods and methodologies, project and test management, and change management. Okay, so first question is, what is the one thing that you think we have learned and can apply from lockdown?
Well, one of the things that I've learned from lockdown is to appreciate the things that you normally take for granted. Another thing that we've learned from this lockdown is that the internet is not fast enough, because you don't want to know how many VPN connections I've seen broken during the last weeks. And then you see people all the time. So we still, if you really want to do this, and I believe that working from home 2 or 3 days a week would be fine, would be very good. And I don't need to go to the office every day, but we need to invest in better infrastructure if we really want to be doing this in the long haul.
And the other thing I would say I take away from work would be, as well as all the electronic stuff, when we do go back to offices, we should rethink the offices, because a lot of offices were built with this sort of myopic, open plan, WeWork style, horribly inhuman offices anyway. And the coronavirus, I think, has made us think about personal space. And just because we now have to have personal space doesn't mean before we didn't really need it. It was compromised. So I think we're going to reinvent offices. We're going to reinvent public space. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I want to add one thing, because we've also have been hosting a online conference, and although that's also a bit artificial, because normally at the conference you have the walkways and stuff like that where you meet people. On the other hand, since you didn't have to travel, a lot of people could join in that normally could not have joined in because of travel costs and stuff like that. So there is also a good side to it. And I'm not saying that all conferences should be virtual, but I do believe that hybrid conferences where you have partially people being present and partially being people online might be a very good solution.
So now the series of questions that I'm going to ask you guys from now on is about how to be better at testing and how to improve yourself as a tester. And so first up, I would like to start with a question about how to find a good mentor and how to find a right mentor with like right skills and how to approach them and how to develop that relationship. I think that is the overall question, this particular one.
Interesting question, because I think finding the right mentor is something contextual. So you need a certain skill, or you lack something, or you want to learn something, and then you find someone who's good at that. And I think most important is you have a click with that person. So actually someone that you can interact with. I mean, I know Huib is really good at testing, but we are really bad together. So I won't ask Huib for testing, because this won't work, right? So you have to find someone that has kind of your same wavelength. And sometimes that person doesn't even have to be the expert. Sometimes you can just explore something together.
From a mentoring standpoint, I mean, I'm not a tester anymore. I mean, I work at Inflectra more as in the business side of things, but we have business mentors that I've gotten involved with. What I liked about someone like and how I found someone like him is you have to find someone that's going to tell you the hard truth, so what they call truth to power. So I think that's the other thing. Sometimes when you're mentoring, you want someone who's going to basically guide you, and that's maybe up to a certain level. And then when you get a certain level of experience, what you need is someone who's going to potentially throw you curveballs or try and challenge your worldview. So you want someone who's going to challenge your perceptions and speak truth to power. And not all mentors are going to do that. They're better at getting you from the ground floor up to sort of the middle. There are other mentors who are really good at challenging you to make you better. So I think in any given skill, look where you are and look where you need to be, and choose the right mentor for the kind of what your next step is in your journey.
And the second thing, how to find a mentor, is people are really having trouble with that. Is just ask, connect on LinkedIn and say, hey, I saw you talk about blah de blah de blah. Would you help me? And well, I think 80, maybe 90% of the people will say sure.
How to come up with ideas for improvement as a tester? Improvement. How to improve yourself as a tester? I think
Okay.
that's the question.
Sounds a bit strange, but do other stuff than testing. It's I've been to conferences which were not about testing, and I sat in the audience, but I also picked up some knowledge on other areas which I can then take back into the testing arena. So by just learning, if you really, I mean, of course you can read all kinds of books and you can go to RST trainings and stuff like that to become a better tester. But at some point, it's if you really want to be out of the box, do something which is not about testing, but just go there.
Huib, do you want to add anything about how to improve yourself as a tester?
Self-reflection is for me the most powerful tool I learned in my life, and being trained as a coach the last like 5 years made that a superpower. And yeah, I love it. Journaling, self-reflection, introspections makes
awesome.
me
Actually, this is a very good segue to our next question, which would be how to create a learning path for yourself. But I think if we start by maybe reflecting on what we have done in our lives to get here, and maybe a person would find that inspirational, or maybe if we then can add some more things, more contemporary things that people can do to improve their or smoothen their learning path.
First of all, I'm not really a software tester. I have a degree in computer science. I was a developer for a number of years, and then I did some research on theoretical computer science, and then someone said, you must be our ideal head of test automation because you have done formal methods. And I was like, okay. And that's how I actually got to testing. So I'm coming from a different background. And recently I've gotten more in touch with the developer side again. So I'm also looking at the technical parts and stuff like that, and that it helped me realize that actually testing is something that you should take holistically. It's not just testing, or quality should be taken holistically. It's not just testing. It's also about thinking about what you want to build, how you want to build it, making the right design decisions, challenging yourself, challenging your team. So testing is only part of that entire quality experience. So if you want to improve yourself, if you want to get your learning path, I would say also try to look at the other parts of the IT development process and also see what they bring you.
My learning path was, I guess, well, I did a degree in physics, and then I realized I didn't want to work in a lab. I enjoyed people. I was more of a social person, enjoyed building. I was more of a builder. And so I think you have to learn about yourself. When you look for a career, you have to be able to marry what you enjoy doing as well as what you're good at. Because I was good at math and science, but I didn't enjoy the idea of being in a lab, working in a lab environment. It just wasn't for me. So I think it's important when you're looking at your learning path to marry social skills, your technical skills, cognitive skills, all those things. And then after consulting, I got into testing because we were using spreadsheets and Excel sheets to do testing, and someone gave us this tool called Test Director, and we said, wow, this is a great tool. And then we saw the price tag and went, it's not such a good tool after all. And then
I was about to say that.
So that's why we, and you probably don't know, that's why I helped to found Inflectra, because a friend of mine, Nathan, bet me, yeah, you could write that one on the Metro. I said, all right, let me do it. So I started writing the first versions of Spiral Test on the Metro, and that's how the company kind of started out. So sometimes you need to push. In life, you'll have all this thing you want to do in life, and so there's never the right time. You'll never have the right time to do anything. Someone's going to push you, or you're going to push yourself and say, this is as good as time as any to make a change, and I will change now.
All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for coming today. All right, I'll have to let you go, guys. Have a great
Have a good
summer.
evening, good week. Enjoy the motorcycling.
Yes.
I will.
Yes.
Yes.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye.